We're going to start by looking at drawing trumps this evening. And as you all know, it's one of the most important decisions that you have to make when you become declarer in a suit contract. Should you draw trumps or should you do something else? And I suppose about half the time it's right to draw trumps, and about half the time you should do something else. And getting that right seems to cause a lot of difficulties for declarers. So let's have a look at a few examples of this. And actually, we're going to start with a hand that was actually played online. And we're going to have a look at how it was played a couple of different ways. This is the hand here. The bidding was kind of different at every table, more or less, but most people got into a 4-heart contract. So on this particular table, North passed, East bid 2 diamonds, a weak 2, South bid 2 hearts, overcalled in 2 hearts, West bid 3 diamonds, and North raised 4 hearts. So down comes dummy. And of course, your first step when you're making a plan in a suit contract is to try to work out your losers. And normally you work out your losers from the point of view of the hand with the longer trump suit. Although here, actually, you've got equal length. You've got 5 trumps in the north hand and 5 trumps in the south hand. And you may find it easier to work it out from one hand's point of view rather than the other. Here, I think this hand is slightly easier to plan from the point of view of north, because if I look at the north hand, I can see, well, we start off with one possible spade, but that lead of the 8 of spades has been a bit of a godsend, because now we're not going to lose any spade tricks. We're going to play low from dummy, and we won't lose any spades. So that one spade loser has disappeared. In hearts, we've got one loser, presumably just the ace. And in diamonds in the north hand, we have 3 possible losers, except facing a singleton, we'll be able to ruff 2 of those. So we hope we'll only lose 1 diamond. And in clubs, we've got 1 loser in the north hand, the 3 of clubs. So if we go through that again, we hope we'll end up with just 1 heart loser, 1 diamond loser, and 1 club loser. And although we started with a possible spade loser, that lead means we can avoid the spade loser. So that's been a very helpful lead. So what we're going to do on this hand is think about how we're going to play it. And in particular, we want to be able to ruff 2 diamonds in the south hand. And if we can do that, that means, but because we have so many trumps here, we've got 10 trumps, and we want to ruff twice, I think we should probably be able to draw trump first on this hand. And that's what I would do. When I gain the lead, I would draw trump, get the ace out, and it will probably just take 2 rounds to draw the opponent's trumps, and I'll still have lots of trumps left to ruff the diamonds with. So that would be how I would approach it. This declarer, though, sort of stayed away from drawing trumps, and it really worked out badly. So what happened on this time was that they played low from dummy. They won the first trick with the ace, and they started on diamonds right away. They started playing a diamond. They lost the first diamond. Back comes the queen of clubs, and declarer made the second mistake here because they didn't win it. They played low. There's no reason to play low. I don't know what you're hoping for, but I would definitely have won that. Anyway, they then carried on with a spade, and they won that one. And at this time, when I'm watching people play either face-to-face or online, I'm sort of wishing they would just draw trump. I'm sort of thinking, why aren't you drawing trump? Why are you delaying this? And, again, instead of drawing trumps, they played a diamond, which they ruffed successfully. Then they played a club. Again, instead of drawing trumps, they tried to play their ace, and East ruffed here. So East had a shortage in clubs and was able to ruff. They then played a spade back, and West ruffed this time. So the opponents have got into cross-ruffing here, and they've already defeated the contract here. Then a king of diamonds was played, and declarer was able to ruff that. And then finally, they've turned their attention to trump. So they lead the queen of hearts. West got in, and they led a club back, which are able to ruff. And now there are just trump left. So you'll take the rest of the tricks, but you'll be held to eight tricks on this hand, really just because you didn't draw trumps. Let's have a look at how it was played another time. Here the bidding was somewhat different, but they ended up in the same contract of 4 hearts, this time played by North. So 1 club, 1 heart, ended up in 4 hearts. And again, this time East led the 9 of clubs. So we're going to look at this played much better this time. And they led the 9 of clubs, and declarer played low from dummy. And West, I think, really makes a mistake here of playing the king of clubs here, because your partner's led the 9. You can see the jack 10 in dummy. Remember, this is played by North, so South is dummy this time. And you didn't really need to play your king unless the 10 or jack were played. Anyway, they did play the king. That lost to the ace. And this declarer started off by drawing trumps. Yes, they forced out the ace of hearts. King of diamonds came back, which they lost. Then they played the queen of clubs. And now declarer has to follow there. We'll lose that 1 club. And West, on this hand, actually led a heart here. I don't know if that was necessarily the best play, but it gets rid of 2 trumps from declarer and dummy. And if you're watching what's happened so far in the club suit, you can actually see that the jack and 10 of clubs have now become established. So once the trumps have gone, now you can ruff the diamonds as you always wanted to all along. This declarer played the 10 of clubs and ruffed it, although it was actually a winner. But then they played and ruffed the last diamond. And then they played the jack of clubs and were able to discard a spade here. So they didn't need to risk the spade finesse. So they just took 2 more spades and claimed 10 tricks at the end. So on this hand, quite a few people didn't make 4 hearts. And yet, I think if you just draw trumps, it's relatively straightforward. And there's no reason to delay drawing trumps on this hand. Okay. Any comments or questions? You can draw trumps and you'll still be able to ruff diamonds. So that's a hand where there's no reason to delay drawing trumps. Let's have a look at another hand. And this was also played. And this time South opened 1 spade and North jumps to 4 spades. And West here leads the king of hearts. And I've got a poll coming up in a minute. And the question is, how many losers or how many possible losers do you think declarer has here? So take a moment, think about how many losers you may have here. Again, you look at it from the point of view of the hand with the long trump suit. This is South in this case. And try and work out how many possible losers you have. And as I said before, every now and then, one day I hope it's going to be a unanimous answer here. This is almost unanimous. Nearly everyone has gone for 4 losers, 1 person going for 3. And yes, I agree. You have 4 losers here. You have the first loser is in spades, the ace of spades. You have 2 heart losers. You don't have any diamond losers, and you have 1 possible club loser. So yes, you start with 4 clubs here. And once you realize you've got 4 losers, you can think about ways of avoiding some of them. One way you could avoid a loser is you could try the club finesse at some point. And if that works, you will avoid a loser there. But if the club finesse doesn't work, then you would be defeated. So let's think ahead about what's going to happen. Let's suppose we win this first trick with the ace of hearts and we start drawing trumps. Well, the problem is they'll get in with the ace, and they'll be able to cash 2 hearts before we can do anything about it. So they will take 3 tricks, the ace of spades and 2 hearts, and now the only way to make the contract is to try the club finesse. So rather than do that, there's another way to avoid one of these losers, and that is to delay drawing trumps and to play the diamond suit. So because you've got that ace, king, queen, what you're going to do on this hand is delay drawing trumps. Don't draw trumps, or they'll get in and cash 2 hearts, and immediately play 3 rounds of diamonds. Play the king of diamonds, the ace, and the queen, and then you're going to discard a heart there. So now you've done that. Now I'm going to turn my attention to trump. But when they get in, all they can do is cash 1 heart trick. And we'll finish drawing the opponent's trumps, and then we can try the club finesse. That may avoid a club trick, but here the club finesse fails. So you're just going to make your contract. You're going to make your 10 tricks on that one. So that was an example of a hand where you need to delay drawing trumps here, and you delay drawing trumps here so that you can discard on the 3rd diamond. Okay, do interrupt me if you have any questions. How about this one? Here you open 1 no trump, and your partner bids 2 hearts, which is a transfer to spades. You bid 2 spades, and they pass 2 spades. Okay, so that is the final contract, and the opponents lead the king of diamonds, and you again need to make a plan. Now, this hand, because of the transfer bid, it means that North has got more trumps than you. That's normally the case when you play transfers. So I'm going to ask you to work out how many possible losers you have, and you're going to do this from the point of view of the North hand, because there are more trumps in the North hand. So the question is, how many possible losers do you have? And this time we do have a unanimous response. Everyone got this right. Well done. Yes, you have 6 losers. And let's just go through it. In spades, we expect to lose 1 trick. In hearts, we have 1 loser. In diamonds, we've got 2 losers. And we've got 2 club losers. So you start off with 6 losers. So you're going to lose all those unless you find a way to avoid one of them. And if we look at our losers from the point of view of the North hand, we can see what we've got is we've got that heart suit that might be able to provide us some tricks on which we can discard. The problem on this hand is that if we win this first trick with the ace, if we start drawing trumps, we're going to be very vulnerable. So just try and think ahead. If we win the first trick with the ace of diamonds and then switch to a trump, the opponents will get in and can then cash 2 diamonds. Okay. If after cashing 2 diamonds, they then turn their attention to clubs, which is quite likely, they can knock out our ace. We can then draw the remaining trump and start playing hearts. Hearts will provide some discard, but we won't have time perhaps to discard, because when we play our hearts hoping to discard a club loser, they may get in with their ace and cash their remaining club tricks. So this is another example of a hand where we need to delay drawing trumps, because if you think ahead, you're likely to lose 6 tricks if you play it as I've just described. So what you need to do is, before you draw trumps, play the hearts. You're playing hearts here, which is slightly risky, but it's your only really good chance to avoid 6 losers. So you play a heart. Okay, if they let you win that, you have to play another heart. Okay, force out the ace here. But now you've set up the jack of hearts, and you hopefully will be able to discard on it. If they likely to play a diamond here because diamonds were going very well for them before. They can take 2 diamonds. If they now shift to a club, we can win that one. And we still can't draw trumps because if I bring up the 4 hands at this stage, we can see the ace is still out. And what we have to play here is the Jack of Hearts, and cross our fingers that we'll be able to discard on it. But it's the only really good chance that we can discard 1 club on that. And once we've done that, then we turn our attention to trumps. The opponents will get in and they can cash 1 club, but after that we can ruff and make the rest. So we can just about make our 8 tricks there. It was difficult and it involved taking the risk of playing hearts early on, but it was another example of delaying drawing trumps because we need to set up that heart suit. And when you've got these decisions to make, shall I draw trumps, you sort of have to think, what happens if I draw trumps? What will they play next, and what will that lead to? Okay, do interrupt me if you've got some questions on that. And let's have a look at another hand. This was also played recently, where you open a heart, your partner bids 2 clubs, you bid 2 diamonds, and then they support your hearts. That normally means they've got 3 card support, and you end up in 4 hearts. And your partner comes down with a pretty nice hand, and we've got to try and make a plan. Again, we're going to start by looking at our potential losers on this hand. And let's look at the spade suit. No spade losers, I think. We're missing the Queen of Hearts, so we might lose a trick there. And in diamonds, in the south hand, we've got 3 losers, but we've got a doubleton there. So we may well be thinking we can ruff perhaps 2 diamonds and avoid losers that way. We don't have any club losers. So you might be thinking in terms of delaying drawing trumps on this hand, and that is a good idea. So you can do ruff your clubs. You can actually do even better on this hand. And if you look carefully at the spade situation, we've got a similar situation to an earlier hand where you've got the ace, king, queen. And can you see that if you play 3 rounds of spades early on, you'll be able to discard on the 3rd spade, and you'll be able to discard a diamond. And if you do that, you will now set up the hands so that they're pretty much perfect for cross-ruffing. And this is the other time you don't draw trumps, when you're planning to cross-ruff. And this hand, I think, is going to work very well if we can cross-ruff in diamonds and in clubs. So this is another example of not drawing trumps. So what we'll do on this hand is we'll win the ace of clubs. We could do it differently, but because we're planning to cross-ruff here, we might actually start off by ruffing a club. Okay, so it's a sort of rare example of ruffing in the long hand, but it's because we're not planning to draw trumps. We're going to cash our winners, those 3 spades I talked about, discard a diamond on that 3rd spade, and now go back to our plan of cross-ruffing. And when you're cross-ruffing, it's always a good idea to start ruffing low to start with. So we'll play the ace of diamonds, we'll play a 3 of diamonds, ruff the first one low. And now you can see we're in pretty good shape because we've got high trumps in both hands, except for the Queen of Hearts. So we're going to play another club, which will ruff there, play another diamond, which will ruff, and play another club, and we're going to ruff that. And so far 10 tricks, so it's looking good. And we've got pretty good trumps left. So we can ruff the diamond with the king. It can't be over ruffed. East has to play a heart. And we play another club here. And if we ruff with the jack, then we can actually make all the tricks on this hand. So played that way, you can actually make 13 tricks by cross-ruffing. And that was another example of not drawing trumps because you're planning to cross-ruff. So that's another very important example. A lot of people take to cross-ruffing very readily, The problem is they tend to do it when they shouldn't do it. But this is a time to do it, and you can never make as many tricks if you draw trumps here. Doing trump, if you have a question on this. I've got one last hand to look at now. This is one where you open 2 no trump. Your partner bids 3 clubs, which is Stayman. So you bid 3 hearts and you end up in 4 hearts. And the opponents lead the king of spades. And I've got the last poll of the evening, which is how many losers do you think you have here? Okay, let's have a look at the results. And nearly everyone has gone for 3, 91%, with 2 people going for 4. Sorry, it should, I don't know, there's a tick there. 3 appears to be the right answer there. And yeah, let's have a look at it. If we look at it from my own hand's point of view, I can see I'm going to lose 2 spades, no hearts, no diamonds, but I have a club to lose. So it seems like we're in good shape to make 10 tricks here, but there is a danger on this hand, and let's see how it might go. We'll look at this played 2 different ways. So let's suppose they win the first trick. East overtakes, leads a spade back. Okay, and West plays another spade. East roughs this, but we over rough. Okay, so we're not too concerned about it. And let's suppose we start drawing trumps now. We hope we'll just be able to draw trumps and then force out the ace of clubs. But suppose you draw the first round and then you draw another round. There's still 1 trump out, but it turns out it's a mistake to draw it. So if you draw it, let's see what happens. They'll win we can win the jack of hearts, but the problem now is that I need to set up the clubs, and although I can cash my my other tricks like the ace, king, queen in diamonds, if I now turn my attention to clubs, the problem is that at some point the opponents can get in, and if I bring up the 4 hands at this point, you can see that West still has a spade and can cash it, because I have no more trumps in the south hand. Okay, so they'll defeat me there by taking their spade. I'll win the last one, but I'll be held to 9 tricks. So on a hand where it didn't seem like you had more than 3 losers, it is possible to lose another one. How can you avoid it? Well, let's replay this hand, played slightly differently. Let's look at the 4 hands this time. And we can see, again, they start off with the 2 spade tricks. They play a 3rd round, which East roughs and I over rough. And then it's a good idea to start drawing trumps. Okay. If they had all divided evenly now, and the last one fell, then we would be in great shape. But when they have 1 trump still out, it's actually a mistake to draw it. And if I click on the GIB button, you'll see that you saying what happened last time, that we can be defeated by 1 trick. And what you need to do on this hand is delay drawing that last trump until you've set up the side suit. So we need to set up the club suit here. And so we delay drawing that last trump until we've done so. So if we play a club here, if they let us win, we need to play another club. And of course, playing this way, we're risking, a possible rough if they're able to rough. But really, we have to force out that ace of clubs. So now if they play another spade, I still have a trump here in my hand that I can rough with. And now I'm okay, because now the diamonds are set up. Sorry, now the clubs are set up, as well as the diamonds, of course. And all I now need to do is to draw that last trump. So I would do that by crossing to the north hand and playing the Jack of Hearts, and then I can make the rest of the tricks here. So quite a tricky one there. It looks like basically what happened, that by the opponents keep leading spades and you roughing, you ran out of trumps so that they could cash a spade there. So you needed to delay drawing that last trump until you'd set up the club suit there. So just to sort of summarize what we've talked about, should you draw trumps? And basically, I would say, unless you have a good reason not to, you should draw trumps first. But you should delay drawing trumps if you have a reason to. And reasons are things like, so you can rough losers in dummy. That's a very common one. Sometimes we looked at an example there because you need to discard losers right away, so you defer drawing trumps. And in that last example, you need to establish a side suit before you draw that last trump, or you will run out of trumps. And another time you can not draw trumps is if you work out that cross-ruffing, you'll be able to make more tricks by cross-ruffing than by drawing trumps at all. And in that case, you generally leave trumps out and you never draw them, just cash your winners and then cross-ruff with the right kind of hand. And then just one other little note, if you've been drawing trumps and there's one high trump left out, it's normally a good idea to leave it. Don't draw it, just let them rough in with it, and that will often work out better. So that's a summary of what we'll be looking at. Does anyone have any questions about any of that?